The Antonov An-225 Mriya NATO reporting name. Cossack is a strategic airlift cargo aircraft that was designed by the Antonov Design Bureau in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. It is powered by 6 turbofan engines and is the longest and heaviest airplane ever built, with a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons. It also has the largest wingspan of any aircraft in operational service. The single example built has the Ukrainian civil registration A82060. A second airframe was partially built. Its completion was halted because of lack of funding and interest. The Antonov An-225, initially developed for the task of transporting the Buran spaceplane, was an enlargement of the successful Antonov An-124. The first and only An-225 was completed in 1988. After successfully fulfilling its Soviet military missions, it was mothballed for 8 years. It was then refurbished and reintroduced, and is in commercial operation with Antonov Airlines carrying oversized payloads. The airlifter holds the absolute world records for an airlifted single-item payload of 189,980 kilograms, and an airlifted total payload of 253,820 kilograms. It has also transported a payload of 247,000 kilograms on a commercial flight. Development. The Antonov An-225 was designed to airlift the Energia rockets boosters and the Buran space shuttle for the Soviet space program. It was developed as a replacement for the Khantsis VMT. The An-225's original mission and objectives are almost identical to that of the United States' shuttle carrier aircraft. The An-225 first flew on the 21st of December 1988 with a 74-minute flight from Kiev. The aircraft was on static display at the Paris Air Show in 1989, and it flew during the public days at the Farnborough Air Show in 1990. 2 aircraft were ordered, but only one An-225 was finished. It can carry ultra-heavy and oversized freight up to 250,000 kilograms internally, or 200,000 kilograms on the upper fuselage. Cargo on the upper fuselage can be 70 meters long. A second An-225 was partially built during the late 1980s for the Soviet space program. The second An-225 included a rear cargo door and a redesigned tail with a single vertical stabilizer. It was planned to be more effective for cargo transportation. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and the cancellation of the Buran space program, the lone operational An-225 was placed in storage in 1994. The 6 Ivchenko Progress engines were removed for use on An-124s, and the second uncompleted An-225 airframe was also stored. The first An-225 was later re-engined and put into service. By 2000, the need for additional An-225 capacity had become apparent, so the decision was made in September 2006 to complete the second An-225. The second airframe was scheduled for completion around 2008, then delayed. By August 2009, the aircraft had not been completed and work had been abandoned. In May 2011, the Antonov CEO is reported to have said that the completion of a second An-225 Mriya transport aircraft with a carrying capacity of 250 tons requires at least $300 million. But if the financing is provided, its completion could be achieved in within 3 years. According to different sources, the second jet is 60 to 70% complete. In April 2013, the Russian government announced plans to revive Soviet-era air launch projects that would use a purpose-built modification to the An-225 as a mid-air launchpad design. Based on Antonov's earlier An-124, the An-225 has fuselage barrel extensions added fore and aft of the wings. The wings also received root extensions to increase span. 2 more Progress D-180 turbofan engines were added to the new wing roots, bringing the total to 6. An increased capacity landing gear system with 32 wheels was designed, some of which are steerable, enabling the aircraft to turn within a 60 meters wide runway. Like its An-124 predecessor, the An-225 has nose gear designed to kneel so cargo can be more easily loaded and unloaded. Unlike the An-124, which has a rear cargo door and ramp, the An-225 design left these off to save weight, and the empennage design was changed from a single vertical stabilizer to a twin tail with an oversized horizontal stabilizer. The twin tail was essential to enable the plane to carry large, heavy external loads that would disturb the airflow around a conventional tail. Unlike the An-124, the An-225 was not intended for tactical airlifting and is not designed for short-field operation. Initially, the An-225 had a maximum gross weight of 600 t, but from 2000 to 2001 the aircraft underwent modifications at a cost of $20 million, such as the addition of a reinforced floor, which increased the maximum gross weight to 640 t. Both the earlier and later takeoff weights established the An-225 as the world's heaviest aircraft, being heavier than the double-deck Airbus A380. It is surpassed in other size-related categories. However, Airbus claims to have improved upon the An-225's maximum landing weight by landing an A380 at 591.7 tons during tests, and the Hughes H-4 Hercules, known as the Spruce Goose, has a greater wingspan and a greater overall height. But the Spruce Goose is 20% shorter and overall lighter due to the materials used in its construction. It also flew only once, making the An-225 the largest aircraft in the world to fly multiple times. The An-225's pressurized cargo hold is 1,300 cubic meters in volume, 6.4 meters wide, 4.4 meters high, and 43.35 meters long, longer than the first flight of the Wright Flyer. Operational history. During the last years of the Soviet space program, the An-225 was employed as the prime method of transporting the Buran space shuttle. Antonov commercialization. In the late 1970s, the Soviet government was looking to generate revenue from its military assets. In 1989, the Antonov Design Bureau set up a holding company as a heavy airlift shipping corporation under the name Antonov Airlines, based in Kiev, Ukraine, and operating from London Luton Airport in partnership with the Airfoil Heavy Lift. The company began operations with a fleet of 4 An-124-100s and 3 Antonov An-225s, but a need for aircraft larger than the An-124 became apparent in the late 1990s. In response, the original An-225 was re-engined, modified for heavy cargo transport, and placed back in service under the management of Antonov Airlines. On the 23rd of May 2001, the An-225 received its type certificate from the Interstate Aviation Committee Aviation Register. On the 11th of September 2001, carrying 4 main battle tanks at a record load of 250 53.82 tons of cargo. The An-225 flew at an altitude of up to 10,750 meters over a closed circuit of 1,000 kilometers at a speed of 763.2 kilometers per hour. Regular commercial flights. The type's first flight in commercial service departed from Stuttgart, Germany on 3 January 2002, and flew to Thumrait, Oman with 216,000 prepared meals for American military personnel based in the region. This vast number of ready meals was transported on some 375 pallets and weighed 187.5 tons. The An-225 has since become the workhorse of the Antonov Airlines fleet, transporting objects once thought impossible to move by air, such as 150-ton generators. It has become an asset to international relief organizations for its ability to quickly transport huge quantities of emergency supplies during disaster relief operations. The An-225 has been contracted by the Canadian and U.S. governments to transport military supplies to the Middle East in support of coalition forces. An example of the cost of shipping cargo by An-225 was over 2 million Danish kroner for flying a chimney duct from Billund, Denmark to Kazakhstan in 2004. On the 11th of August 2009, the heaviest single cargo item ever sent via air freight was loaded onto the An-225. At 16.23 meters long and 4.27 meters wide, its consignment, a generator for a gas power plant in Armenia along with its loading frame, weighed in at a record 189 tons. During 2009, the An-225 was painted in a new blue and yellow paint scheme, after Antonov ceased cooperation with Airfoil and partnered with Volga-DNEPR in 2006. On the 11th of June 2010, the An-225 carried the world's longest piece of air cargo, two 42-meter-long test wind turbine blades from Tianjin, China to Skridstrup, Denmark. Operators: Soviet Union. Antonov Airlines for Soviet Buran program. The company passed to Ukraine after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Ukraine. Antonov Airlines. Specifications. Data from vector site, Antonov's heavy transports, and others. General characteristics. Crew. 6. Length, 84 meters. Wingspan, 88.4 meters. Height, 18.1 meters. Wing area, 905 square meters. Aspect ratio, 8.6. Empty weight, 285,000 kilograms. Max takeoff weight, 640,000 kilograms. Fuel capacity, 300,000 kilogram. Cargo hold, volume 1,300 cubic meters. Length 43.35 meters. Width 6.4 meters. Height 4.4 meters. Power plant, 6 times ZMKB Progress D18 turbofans, 229.5 kilonewtons thrust each. Performance maximum speed, 850 km per hour. Cruising speed, 800 km per hour. Range, 15,400 km with maximum fuel range with 200 tons payload, 4,000 km. Service ceiling, 11,000 meters. Wing loading, 662.9 kilograms per square meter. Thrust weight, 0.234. Notable appearances in media.